Breaking tonight, tensions in the Middle East are exploding once again. The conflict between the United States and Iran has entered one of its most dangerous phases in years. Missile strikes, air attacks, and rising regional tensions are now pushing the world closer to a major geopolitical crisis. But what exactly is happening? Why did this conflict start now? And could this situation escalate into a much larger war? Tonight, we break down everything you need to know. Here is the situation in brief. Over the past days, the United States and Israel have carried out large-scale airstrikes targeting Iranian military and nuclear-related facilities. Iran responded with missiles and drones across the Gulf region, raising alarms among neighboring countries, threatening shipping routes in one of the world's most important oil corridors. Meanwhile, intelligence reports say that despite heavy bombing, Iran's government remains stable and continues to control the country, suggesting the conflict could continue longer than expected. With thousands reportedly killed or injured and infrastructure heavily damaged, the world is now watching closely as global powers call for de-escalation. But the real story behind this crisis goes much deeper. To understand today's crisis, we need to look at the long history between the United States and Iran. The rivalry between the two countries dates back more than 4 decades, following the 1979 Iranian Revolution, when Iran became an Islamic republic and relations with Washington collapsed. Since then, tensions have continued over several issues: Iran's nuclear program, economic sanctions, regional influence in the Middle East. In recent months, diplomatic negotiations over Iran's nuclear program were already under pressure. But when military strikes were launched against Iranian facilities earlier this year, the fragile situation quickly spiraled into open confrontation. Now let's look at what is happening on the battlefield. According to international reports, the United States and Israel conducted massive airstrikes targeting Iranian infrastructure and strategic facilities. These attacks were designed to weaken Iran's military capabilities and disrupt key operations. Iran responded immediately. The Iranian military launched missiles and drone attacks across the region, targeting military sites and sending warning signals to countries hosting U.S. bases. Several Gulf nations activated their air defenses as projectiles crossed their airspace. Another major concern is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway carries a huge portion of the world's oil supply. Any disruption here could affect global energy markets and push fuel prices higher worldwide. This conflict is not just between two countries. It is already pulling the entire region into a dangerous situation. Countries in the Gulf are on high alert, while global powers are monitoring the conflict closely. Military deployments are increasing across the Middle East. Air defenses have been activated in several countries, and commercial shipping routes are being closely monitored. If the conflict spreads further, it could involve multiple regional players, transforming this crisis into a much larger regional war. And that's exactly what the international community is trying to prevent. You might be wondering, why should the rest of the world care about this conflict? The answer is simple: global impact. First, oil markets. Any instability around the Persian Gulf can dramatically affect global oil supply and prices. Second, global security. The Middle East remains one of the most strategically important regions in the world. A wider conflict could draw in major powers and destabilize international relations. And third, humanitarian concerns. Reports indicate significant civilian casualties and widespread damage to infrastructure, raising fears of a worsening humanitarian crisis. So what happens next? There are 3 possible scenarios experts are watching. Scenario 1. De-escalation. Diplomatic negotiations resume, and both sides step back from further attacks. Scenario 2. Continued limited conflict. Airstrikes and missile attacks continue without a full-scale invasion. Scenario 3. Regional war. Other countries become involved, expanding the conflict across the Middle East. Right now, the world is hoping for the first option: diplomacy. The situation remains extremely volatile. Every new development could reshape the future of the Middle East, and potentially the world. For now, the question remains: will diplomacy prevail, or are we witnessing the beginning of a much larger conflict? We will continue to follow this story closely. Stay tuned.